So I just want to outline that first, but let me ask you guys this. So Lee, you said, what was the reason that you abandoned these projects? Is there like a number one reason, or is there
There is
variables for
definitely the
different
number one reason. I mean, because I can look back to my school experience. Now, school's a very special time, in my opinion. Or if you're in just the learning mode, you don't have to be enrolled in a school. What I'm saying is the learning phase. The biggest difference between the school I went to and I think a lot of other schools, including the ones that I've taught at, was Art Center gave you 4 semesters of absolutely brutal foundation work.
Mm-hmm.
And then literally like switching on or off a faucet, the next term we came back and they're like, make what you want to make. And we did that for 2 years. There was never an assignment given.
Mm-hmm.
You had to come up with it. And it was fantastic but what happened at the end of that 2 years is everybody had been traveling their own road for 2 years. And so when it came time for, final graduation, everybody's work looked so different because we had gone in such divergent paths. But I finished everything during that 2 years. There was never a project where I started it and bailed on it. Now, the projects were shorter and easier than the projects I attempt now. But I had a very high success rate of them. And then immediately you go into the professional world. And the number one reason for most of the projects I haven't done is because a client can't see the same vision that I am seeing with it, or they dilute it in a way that I'm not comfortable with. So it's sort of like that story you were just telling. There was one dummy that I had illustrated a number of times, like 5 or 6 times, finally got interest from a couple of publishers. One of them really ran with it. I made probably 15 full dummies with maybe 8 or 9 full rewrites.
Mm-hmm.
And then ultimately they passed on it. And now I'm just looking at it going, well, I go back to like version 1. I'm like, that's the one I like the best still.
Yeah.
But they tried to put a bully in there. They tried to, workshop it with their marketing team and all that stuff. And then, so what do you do with it? Now it's made the rounds at the different publishers. It's already been, oh, we like it, but we're not going to do it now because we already got something similar kind of reasons or whatever. And then it just sort of goes away. Now, that same project, I said, there's enough interest there. I have enough interest there where I'm going to go ahead and make some paintings. And I made those paintings and I sold all the originals, and I continue to sell prints just for the 3 or 4 sample pics for that picture. So I know there's an idea there. But it's mainly, to answer your question, it's because the professional rejection. It's just really hard to get something all the way through.
Mm-hmm. What about personal projects? Ones where it's not contingent on an editor or a writer or marketing team.
Yeah, that's what I'm sort of going through now, actually. So it's an interesting topic to bring up. There's opportunity cost. And for those of you not familiar with that, it's whenever you make a decision to do one thing, you've now said no to all the other things. Mm-hmm. Well, now that I'm kind of taking a break from professional children's books in terms of being paid for with clients and stuff, I have to self-initiate some projects for my gallery. And I'm kind of just dragging my feet a little bit because I don't really know which one to dive into. So there's a little bit of confusion about how deep do I go with it? Because the second I turn that on, it's got to be worthy of, 6 months worth of work.
Yeah. Yeah. Will, what about you? What are the reasons? Is there a number one reason your projects get abandoned?
There's a bunch. I was just going to hit screen share for those that are on YouTube. This is some art from the game that I was working on called Super Stick.
That's cool.
And I put 4.
Describe what it looks like.
It's a side-scrolling game. We were working with Microsoft. We had a dev kit. We had everything. We had a team of 5 people. We had music from David Housden, who's an award-winning musician for game that's won awards in games and stuff. And anyway, we had so many cool things going on in this game, and we had to eventually abandon it because
these are awesome. There's a biting strawberry. And for those of you guys, you should go to our YouTube channel and check some of this artwork out.
There's it's spiky. Really fun. It's all dangerous food. It's dangerous fruit is what it is.
And the idea behind this game was so fun. It was like end of days where we have so many animations. End of days where the nuclear fallout has created mutations in a food factory. And so Super Stick was the night security guard who was trying to escape the building without getting eaten by all the gargantuan
Mhm.
food that was coming after him. So it's just crazy. We came up with so many crazy things, and these things all were dangerous things the things I'm showing on the screen right now are.
Do the chicken. I want to see the chicken.
It's good looking
Right
stuff. It's
above
right
you.
straight up.
Oh yeah.
There we go.
The chicken laid these eggs with spikes and stuff. And
The chicken's head is cut off and hooked to a tube.
Wow.
Anyway, it was super fun, and I learned a ton. But basically we really learned was we didn't have enough manpower on the programming development side, and the guy that was programming it was really good, and he has gone on to do other great projects and make a lot of money. But he didn't realize the scope of what we were doing, And so we had to abandon this just because we just didn't have the manpower to do it, which was, it's a different, I didn't predict that happening.
Mhm.
And obviously neither did him. We wouldn't have spent all this time, but it was a labor of love. And I would love to still complete this someday. We had the other thing was we kind of missed our window right when I can't remember what Xbox it was that came out, but
Mhm.
there were no games for it, and there were no games available, and we were trying to time it so ours would be one of the first, and that's when Microsoft was working with us, and everything was so exciting, but for the fact that we just ended up biting off more than we could chew. So that's one reason.
Yeah.
You might have to abandon a project. Another one for me is I've abandoned a lot of story books, children's picture book ideas, because, I guess you could say for the same reason. No, not the same reason, a little bit different. I didn't feel like I had the skill. So I was writing these stories, and when I would workshop them in my critique group, there were problems that I did not know how to fix in the actual story arc.
Like narrative problems.
Yeah. And I got to a point where I was like, I like the idea, I like the subject matter, but I can't make a story that if I can't get my critique group excited about it,
Mhm.
I'm not going to go through the process of
Right.
making a dummy and sending it to an editor. So I just realized that I needed more time writing stories, and why not? Why, any amazing skill that you develop, you could make that argument, the 10,000 hour rule argument. Like how many hours do you have, Lee, in disc golf?
The number that's too big to count to.
Have you ever tried to count it up?
I don't know. I mean, it's I haven't tried to count it up. I don't know if it's 10,000. If it's
You have a lot of
10,000, I'm behind the curve of accelerating my skill set. I
Right.
should be better.
I just want to point out how far you two have come. Will called it disc golf and not frolf. Like,
That's pretty good. It's pretty
you
good.
two have come a
we're
long
in-
way.
I will say this. I've sort of abandoned a little bit of disc golf now. I'm back into mountain biking.
Oh,
Mm.
Some new trails opened up near my house,
Well,
and they are good.
the reason
And they're huge.
That's cool.
the reason I didn't call it frolf is because we're in tough times right now.
Gotta be
Yeah.
so sensitive. I'm a
Intense.
snowflake.
Just didn't want to push Lee over the edge.
Right.
Hey, while we're talking about this, I wanted to run.
Well, let me
go
kind of
ahead,
just
go
finish that last
Yeah.
thought is that I probably only have a few hundred hours writing children's stories. I don't have anywhere near enough. And so I finally came to the terms of, until I have time to really spend time, like days and days and days writing, I'm not going to come up with something that I like on my own.
Mhm.
I really need to spend a lot of time doing that.
Yeah.
And I need to be able to afford to spend that time.